be some really big works. I always had the thought that I wanted to do a large drawing, and this is the drawing that I'm doing in response to that impulse. Because I work in sculpture, I've actually made my living in sculpture for the last 5 years, and haven't been drawing that much. I felt that I wanted to do some quite sculptural works. I had an idea about how the feeling that I wanted when people walk into the room, that they're actually entering an environment, the river environment, so walking through a forest and coming across all of the small and large things that you see when you're walking around a river. I was talking to a friend of mine who was experimenting with contact printing, which is, it's also called eco-printing, but you put leaves or bits of bark and so on, normally in material, and wrap it up and then boil it, and she was experimenting with paper, so I also thought that was a really good way to respond with paper. Not that I necessarily wanted them to actually be prints, but just that I wanted to do something with paper that I could then respond to in a sculptural form. So I've ended up with that body of work, with doing some prints onto paper and then turning them into, I've got some smaller works that really respond to the notion of the river laying down the alluvial process of the river and how that can be kind of mined for knowledge. And then the major work of that body is a large woven piece, so where I've printed up some quite long strips of paper and then woven them back together again. So that was really organic, and it was a new process that I never experimented with before, but I felt that it really spoke about what I wanted to say about the qualities of the river that, it's like it flows through many areas, but it's still the same river, but it's also always a different river. So I've used the plant material that I've used in those prints is material from the side of the river, from the riverbanks. I went to Condobolin because I'm working with BEVERLY as in dialogue with the Lachlan and the Nepean rivers that we both live around. So I used some of the river red gum bark in the pot, which has coloured the paper. So just wanted to really get that sense of the interweaving of she and I as artists, as women, our different cultures, our different areas, the river that I grew up being quite involved with the Hawkesbury River. My grandparents lived on the Hawkesbury River, which the Nepean turns into, and I lived for 10 years on the Wingecarribee River, which also feeds this river system. So I feel like this is my river system, and Bev's river system is the Lachlan. So I wanted to create a dialogue between the two of us. So then weaving these strips of paper back into each other also speaks to that kind of community feeling. So the river also kind of sweeps through in flood and washes away things that have been there and deposits new things. So I've constructed kind of tripod forms out of sticks and so on that I found by the river's side. Once again at the Lachlan, so bringing that, that kind of exchange between the two areas back to here. And then I've woven silver wire over it, and the silver for me is very much about the Australian landscape. The timber greys off and silvers off, and the gum leaves are quite silvery, and particularly when you go out west, the landscape does very gradually change into a very silvery kind of a landscape. So I have these kind of stick figures that are quite wonky, and they'll stand through the space, so I'd like to have the impression, give people the sense of walking through that floodplain after the river, where you get stuff that's stuck in the branches and really weird things like rats and stuff in the tree, and you just have that sense of the power of the river when it comes through. So then the final body of work I'm doing are these drawings, and it's a body of work that I've been working on pretty much since about 1999. I did the first kind of small series of these, and it's been really nice to work up into this 4.2 metre drawing.
always something I can do with the raffia. You sit down and weave. I taught both of my sisters. One's passed away now. I taught my mum. She's passed away now. My daughter, my great niece. Out of my family. Oh, 2 other nieces.
Wow.
It was only about 85 that I started with the spiny search. Started doing the traditional stitch with all natural fibres. Yeah. No, I did this course and did a lot of weaving. And I was doing weaving myself. But when I found out about the sedge and what they do down further down the Murray and whatever, and that's when I got into weaving with the sedge.
Yeah.
You've got to hang them till they dry for a couple of weeks, and then when you use it, you've got to put it in water, so it'll be pliable and whatever. It was just small baskets.
Yeah.
And then now it's sculpture sort of things. I still go back to this one. I know I did the Glenna because it's supposed to be updated. With the willow, it was easier to do turtles.
This one's just all freeform. Just the design of the Glenna. I do the design. My partner does the framework, and then I weave on a quilt. Yeah. I don't know. I just do things freeform.
And it just happens.
It just
Yeah.
I'm not where I want anything really until later when I look at it. Yeah. So it works that way.
So this piece here, so you've started off with coil.
It's all cool. This piece, what's in here is rattan, cane, that's a laser spool stitch, native Indian stitch.
Oh.
And the rest is our stitch,